Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Ellen here, and welcome to part 10 of What If Aizawa Was in Class 1A. Just wanted to greet you guys by just saying sit back and relax, you're in for a treat, and so we begin. Midoriya was stretching in the locker room. At the same time, he was mentally preparing himself for his battle with Aizawa. Midoriya knew the sleepy teen's fighting style enough. This meant he knew enough to not underestimate Aizawa. Even though Midoriya had gotten stronger thanks to One For All, so had Aizawa with his erasure. The green-haired teen could not help but get excited at the impending battle with his best friend. As this thought flowed through Midoriya's mind, a knock came at the door. "Deku, are you there?" "Oh, hello, Uraraka." "I'm glad to see that you're doing okay, Deku." "Yeah, recovery girl got me patched up." Midoriya noticed a bandage on the brunette's face, and it looked like she had been crying. "Is that from your match with Kacchan?" The round-faced girl rubbed the bandage at the mention of the battle. "Yeah, I tried the best I could to win, but I just couldn't compete with Bakugo's raw power." "Is that what made you cry?" Uraraka blushed at that question. "No, well, sort of. You see, after the match, my parents called me. I felt really sad and disappointed that I did not do better in the finals." Midoriya remembered the earlier conversation he had had with Uraraka, how her goal was to become a great hero to help her parents live an easier life. "I think you did really well. Kacchan is not an easy opponent for anyone to defeat. Your meteor attack was a great tactic. You could not have known that Kacchan could release such a big blast. You saw that, Deku?" "Yes, I had recovered enough to see your battle. I thought it was amazing." Midoriya felt a little hesitant about saying this next part, but he went with it. "You are amazing, Uraraka." Uraraka's cheeks went from pink to luminous red in an instant. The girl did not know what to say. She was not expecting to receive such praise from Midoriya. After what seemed like an eternity, Uraraka managed to regain her senses. "Thank you, Deku. That is so sweet." "Uraraka, I have wanted to ask you something for a while now, but now that I think about it, this may not be the best time." Midoriya then started to go into one of his major rambling sessions. Uraraka was so eager to hear what he was going to ask that she did something that was very out of character for her. Uraraka grabbed Midoriya by the shoulders and shook him out of his ramble. "Deku, please just ask me your question." Uraraka smiled at Midoriya when she said this. "Okay, I wanted to know if I could call you sometimes, to talk about things." Uraraka could feel just how tense Midoriya was. The green-haired boy's body was as stiff as a board. Then Uraraka turned red again when she realized that she was still touching Midoriya. The pink-cheeked girl then released her grip on Midoriya's shoulders. Uraraka managed to reply through her embarrassment. "I would like that, Deku, but don't you have Aizawa for that kind of thing?" "Well, that is true, but you have a more supportive nature than Aizawa does, and it is just really nice to talk to you." "Okay, I get it. I feel the same way." The round-faced girl smiled, but then had a realization. "Oh, I interrupted your preparations for your next match. I'm so sorry, Deku." Midoriya smiled at the girl. "It is okay, Uraraka. I think this was just what I needed. Thank you." "You're welcome. Now go out there and win. I will be watching you." Midoriya could not help but smile at those words. While this lovely scene was going on, it was being overheard from outside the door. Aizawa had come down to the locker room to tell Midoriya not to hold back in their match. But when the dark-haired boy arrived at the room, he did not expect to hear this. Aizawa thought that Midoriya's proposal, for lack of a better word, was not as straightforward as he would have liked it. Clearly, he liked the girl and she liked him back. Then Aizawa considered that Midoriya was probably testing the waters. Girls had never been interested in Midoriya, so while this step would be very small for boys their age, for Midoriya it was a huge step indeed. While Aizawa would have liked for Midoriya to be more upfront, he thought this was a good beginning. Aizawa decided to let the two have their moment. The dark-haired boy then walked toward the arena. The two lovebirds would not know he was there, but he would keep an eye on both. "All right, it is time! The ring is fixed, the competitors are healed, and the audience is ready! It is time for the second round of the finals to begin!" That is right, Mike. For the match we have two members of Class 1A, Izuku Midoriya and Shota Aizawa. The friends stood in the ring opposite one another. Midoriya had a serious look on his face. Aizawa had his usual blank expression. The boys exchanged no words. Both knew what the other wanted from this match. "All right, students, show us your passion. Begin." Before Midoriya could even get One For All flowing through him, Aizawa activated his quirk. The dark-haired boy's usually half-closed eyes opened wide. Aizawa's normally dark irises were crimson. Midoriya knew Aizawa would do that. If Aizawa managed to use his capture weapon on Midoriya before his time ran out, then the match would end. Midoriya decided to waste no time. The forest-haired teen ran forward, ready to combat Aizawa with only his fighting skills. Aizawa unslung his capture weapon from around his neck. The dark-haired teen whipped his binding in Midoriya's direction. Aizawa managed to wrap his binding cloth around Midoriya's wrist. Aizawa then changed direction to bind Midoriya's hands. Aizawa was surprised when Midoriya quickly changed direction to avoid this. Midoriya then used his powerful grip to yank Aizawa toward him with his binding cloth. The green-haired teen then delivered a powerful kick to Aizawa's side. Aizawa received only slight damage from this attack. The dark teen used his improved agility and speed to move out of the way at the last minute. Aizawa stood rubbing his side, his gaze locked on Midoriya. "Your base speed has improved greatly. I have a hard time believing that you're powerless." "Your movements have gotten better too. I am not surprised." The two then continued. Midoriya would get close, only to have Aizawa dodge out of the way. Aizawa found it hard to immobilize Midoriya. Even with all the improvements the steely-eyed teen had made, he was barely keeping up. It was obvious to Aizawa that Midoriya had also been improving his fighting style, not just one for all. As the battle carried on, Aizawa could feel that he was reaching the erasure limit. Aizawa's eyes were now painfully dry and bloodshot. The teen knew he only had maybe 2 minutes left if he was lucky. Midoriya did not give an inch. He advanced on Aizawa using kicks and punches. Aizawa managed to dodge these attacks. Midoriya was not like the other opponents. Most individuals would be rattled if you suddenly took their quirk away. Most quirk users became so dependent on their quirk that they could not function in a fight without their power. Midoriya had developed these moves when he had no quirk. Having been around Aizawa so long too had shown him that he needed to develop his own skills, not just his quirk. As this thought ran through Aizawa's mind, the teen couldn't hold it on longer, and he blinked, releasing his hold over Midoriya. Midoriya could feel his quirk awakening. The pine-haired teen knew he only had moments to act. "Sorry about this, Aizawa! Air Force!" A large burst of pressure crashed into Aizawa. The dark teen tried to hold his ground, but it was no use. Aizawa was knocked off his feet and fell to the ground, having the wind knocked out of him. Midoriya rushed forward, using full cowling to grab Aizawa and lay him outside the boundary line. Aizawa is out! Izuku Midoriya advances to the next round. Meanwhile, Class 1A was watching from the stands. "Wow, Aizawa did better than I thought he would!" True, most people would either freeze or be unable to fight without their quirk. Midoriya's performance probably stems from the fact that he had fought Aizawa before and knew that he would not be able to use his quirk. Well, the two of them did know each other very well. After all, Aizawa was the first one to train Deku in combat. I did know that. Mina Ashido's face went wide when hearing this. "You seem to know Midoriya very well. Please tell us more." Uraraka's face went red upon hearing this. The round-faced girl then freaked out. "It's not like that, Mina, I swear!" The other Class 1A girls were surprised by this reaction. The boys were just confused and had no idea what was going on. Yayorozu cleared her throat. "Be that as it may, I hope that Aizawa doesn't take the loss too hard. It can be hard to suffer a loss in front of so many people." "I wouldn't worry about Aizawa. Knowing him, he will see this loss as a reason to improve." Mina put a serious scowl on her face. "After all, that is the most rational thing to do." Several 1A students stifled laughs at Ashido's impression of Aizawa. "I would be careful, Ashido. If Aizawa saw that impersonation, he would give you one of his cold, icy stares." Ashido shivered at the thought. Aizawa's glare could scare the spots off a Dalmatian. The tournament continued. Ida defeated Ojiro. Tokoyami was able to defeat Ashido easily. Finally, Bakugo won out over Kirishima with a blistering barrage of explosions. In the next round, Ida tried his best, but was unable to get the better of Midoriya's full cowling. Bakugo realized that Tokoyami had a weakness to light and got the W. Midnight stepped before the cheering crowd. "This has been an exciting competition. We will take a short break before we see the final match of Izuku Midoriya versus Katsuki Bakugo." Aizawa returned to the stands after being healed by Recovery Girl. The boy seemed to be in good spirits and had no visible injuries. "Hi, Aizawa. How are you doing?" "Hello, Uraraka. I'm fine. Has the final match begun?" "No, they needed to take a break to repair the damage caused by Bakugo in his match against Tokoyami." Aizawa noticed that the bird boy shivered at the reminder of his recent loss. This should be an interesting match. Aizawa knew that there were others in the audience that had the same idea. All Might sat in the UA staff box by himself, in skinny form. He was amazed that Midoriya had done so well. The number one hero could not wait to see how the boy would fare in the final match. Afternoon, Mr. Yagi. All Might turned to see his old sidekick. Night Eye, I didn't expect to see you here. It was a last-minute decision. I thought it would be best to attend. Midoriya was preparing for the final battle against Bakugo in the locker room. Suddenly, the door to the room flew open. Bakugo was standing there with his foot out, and the door had a boot print indented on it. What are you doing here, Deku? The blonde then looked at the number on the door and gritted his teeth in annoyance. What? This is room 2? While I am here, I wanted to let you know that I expect your best in this final. Come at me like you did Icy Hot. I don't know how you got his power, but I will show everyone that I am the best. Bakugo then turned and stomped out of the room, slamming the door behind him. Midoriya felt slightly bad about not telling Bakugo about his quirk, but he had promised All Might that he would not tell anyone. The green-haired teen did wonder if Bakugo had put any of it together. The way Bakugo phrased his threat made it seem like he knew something unusual was up. Midoriya knew that despite how Bakugo acted, he was not an idiot. Midnight snapped her whip in the air. All right, everyone, this is what the UA Sports Festival for the first years has been building to. 2 students from Class 1A will go head-to-head for all the marbles. I hope everyone is excited as I am. Both Midoriya and Bakugo stood in the ring. The boys stared each other down with looks of determination that could melt steel. It was obvious to anyone watching that these boys would not hold back. Remember what I said, Deku. Give it everything. You want everything, Kachan? Then everything is what you will get. With those words, Midoriya unleashed the power of One for All. The teen's body glowed as the green lighting sparked off him. Competitors, begin! Both boys charged towards each other. Several blows were exchanged without a single hit. Bakugo used his explosion to maneuver around Midoriya's strikes. Midoriya was using the highest output he could use at this point, which was 20%, to try and land a hit. It was not easy. Even though Midoriya was a little faster than Bakugo, the Ashen Blonde was the better combatant. Anytime the Viridian-haired team would get close to a hit, Bakugo would block it or dodge. Of course, Bakugo did not have it easy either. Midoriya's higher speed meant that Bakugo could not land a direct strike. Many of his counter-strikes went wide. This continued until Midoriya landed a hit. The strike hit Bakugo in the chest and sent the spiky-haired boy flying. If it had not been for his ability to maneuver in midair, Bakugo would have flown out of the ring. Bakugo was surprised by the hit. That nerd is not holding back. Good, then I will turn up the heat. Bakugo then moved in to deliver an attack of his own. Moving faster than he had before, Bakugo landed an explosive strike to Midoriya's gut. The green-haired teen had no time to react. Midoriya did not think that Bakugo would bounce back from his attack so quick. The two boys then began exchanging blows again, but this time more blows landed on each of the competitors. Up in the stands, Aizawa was watching with an irritated look on his face. Both Ida and Uraraka, who were sitting by Aizawa, wondered what was bothering the teen. What's wrong, Aizawa? Midoriya and Bakugo are fighting recklessly. They look good to me. Look again. If I had to guess, they had both thrown caution to the wind. These two are fighting for dominance now. I guess I should not be surprised, given the complicated history between these two. Still, I'm going to have a stern talk with Midoriya about this later. At that moment, Ida's whole body started to vibrate uncontrollably. What is that? It is just my phone. Uraraka wondered what kind of phone did that to a person. Ida went to the hall to answer the call. It was his mother calling to tell Ida that his brother had been seriously injured by a villain attack. Ida returned to his friends to tell them he had to go immediately. Both Aizawa and Uraraka told him to go be with his family, but Aizawa could not help but think of another injured brother. The boy did his best not to think about this, though, but the bleary-eyed teen could not help but think of his name, Oboro. Aizawa quickly refocused his attention on the battle between Midoriya and Bakugo. Maybe the irritation would help block out the sadness. Both Midoriya and Bakugo continued their assault on each other. Both started to realize that they could not go on much longer. Bakugo was getting really bad pain in his arms from overusing his quirk. Midoriya's body was also starting to ache from the strain of One for All flowing through his body. The green-haired boy's previous battles had worn him out. Hey, you damn nerd! You're running on fumes, aren't you? Guess the other matches took more out of me than I thought. You aren't faring any better, though. Your arms are shaking like leaves in the wind. You noticed that? Well, let's finish with a bang! Both boys charged up for their last attacks. Bakugo flew forward. The spiky blonde used his explosions to create a whirlwind of smoke and heat to propel him toward Midoriya at breakneck speed. Midoriya channeled his maximum 35% into his right arm. Take this, you damn nerd! Howitzer impact! Right back at you, Kachan! Detroit smash! The two powerful attacks collided, causing a whirlwind of smoke and air pressure to cover the arena. For several minutes, the arena was blanketed in a thick layer of smoke. Everyone was silent as they waited to see the outcome. When the air cleared, what everyone saw was unbelievable. Both boys were still standing. Both had taken a serious beating and were struggling to catch their breaths. The arena looked like a disaster area. Pieces of the ring were blown away, and the walls of the stadium had many cracks in them. You gave it everything, didn't you, Deku? Of course I did, Kachan. You're the one I wanted to beat most of all. With those words, both boys passed out cold on the arena floor. Midnight went over to check on the two boys. This match is a double knockout. Both contestants are out. The crowd went wild. There were many exclamations about how the students of 1A were already so insanely powerful. The crowd could see how 1A had successfully halted a villain attack. They also shouted how the world would be a safer place once they became full heroes. In the UA staff box, Sir Night-Eye calmly got up to leave. All Might, meet me at my office tomorrow. There are several things we need to discuss. Okay, that is a good idea. The award ceremony took place after that. Both Bakugo and Midoriya tied for first place. Unfortunately, the boys were recovering from the battle and could not attend. In the recovery room, Bakugo and Midoriya had recovered a little. Both boys were awake and sitting up in the beds. You went all out, Deku. Thank you for that. I wanted to win, but that was all I could do for now. I have always acted like I was superior to you. I treated you like dirt, yet you never gave up on being a hero. How did you do that? I don't know if I could have done that. Don't be ridiculous, Kachan. You would have done just like I did. After all, we were both inspired by the same person. We both have always admired All Might. You have a point, Deku. Of course, you would have been far louder and more obnoxious. Watch it, nerd. I may be injured, but I can still flatten you. I would like to see you try. A silent agreement passed between the boys. Okay, nerd. Let's both get stronger. Then, when we are at our strongest, let's fight it out for number 1. Bakugo extended his fist toward Midoriya, not in a threatening way, but in a motion of solidarity. Midoriya was puzzled for a moment. He had never received this kind of attention from Bakugo. Midoriya then got over his shock and returned the fist bump. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. Hope you enjoyed it. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deep into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's sure to expand your weeb knowledge for all kinds of series guaranteed. On top of that, we have a third channel called We the Celestials Naruto What Ifs. It's what we do on this channel already, but in the vast world and lore of Naruto. Go check it out if you're in the mood for some jutsu action. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. If you're perhaps interested in what we do here at WTC, then I would like to extend out an invitation to join the team, the only caveat being that we only accept members 16 and older to join our crew. You can find us on our Discord, which you can locate in the description below. Our Discord is an all-around fantastic place to be, whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits. All you gotta do is hit up the recruitment server and sign up for whichever category of work that fulfills your interests. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from today's video, so thank you all for watching and have a great day.